Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Look at
How
that
are you?
Look at that background today.
Yes, I am in the mountains and enjoying the fall weather and the rain that is not yet here yet.
Well, stay safe and enjoy it there. It's probably cold for you there, Michael.
It is
So,
it is jacket weather for sure.
and it's a little cold here too. In Cincinnati. So fall, I think, is officially here. I've actually pulled out my sweatshirts now. So
There you go.
first experience Friday Live wearing my sweatshirt this season. So, well, it is so good to be here. Really excited about our guest today, who I met a few months ago in Chicago. But before we dive into that, let's just do a couple announcements. Combustion Chronicles, our season is live. And the last two episodes has been Nicole Cable and Jean Lee, two amazing chief experience officers that you want to just go out and listen and hear from them. So anywhere you can download the Combustion Chronicles on the podcast, go listen. And our next show will be Friday, October the 14th with Randy Czar, head of social and CX evangelist for Unifor. And we're going to talk about empathy is the key towards communication. And I just noticed my key didn't show up there. I had a little key. It was so cute. But any big football news right now, Michael? Yeah.
Well, the Bengals won last night, so
Thanks.
we'll take that. Unfortunately, Tua is hurt, and so it's never good to win a football game with the other team's quarterback taken off the field. So looking forward to good news from him. But
yeah. And our Kentucky Wildcats, we are going to Mississippi this weekend for a big challenge, hopefully to stay 5-0 after this weekend. And well, Michael, tell our listeners why we do Experience Friday Live and why we're so passionate about it.
Yeah, and I think today's angle needs to be, we do it because people who are watching, like all of you, show up. And so there's obviously a need and a shared passion and a group that cares about this as much as we do and understands the implications of what happens when you take care of people in business and know that there's a better way to be doing business. So disruptors and folks who have a maverick mind for reinventing what business could look like with people at the center of it. There's enough of us out there that there's a movement afoot, and we got to keep at it.
Well, and I love you're talking about the people, because actually the focus today with Nancy is whether our personal life or work life, it should always be about the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. Nancy Flowers is a customer strategy leader with over 15 years driving world-class marketing, engagement, and client experience programs. Currently the Vice President of Insights and Loyalty at Hagerty. She leads their brand, market, and consumer insights practice and develops strategies that deliver long-term member value and drive industry-leading NPS and satisfaction results. Nancy is forever curious about human behavior and lifelong learning. So we want to welcome Nancy. There she is. Hey, Nancy.
Morning.
Well,
how are you guys?
We're good, and it's so good to have you. And one of our dear friends, Nancy, Mark Mickelson, says, "Good morning, Shawn," to all of us. But Mark's listening in this morning. So we got lots of people listening in. And we start every one of our shows the same way, Nancy. Everyone with the same question. And it is simply 60-second, 90-second answer. Why do you do what you do? And what keeps you motivated as you do it?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I think for many of us, we accidentally fell into this line of career, right? In terms of client experience. I was in marketing, I was in communications. The CEO of Hagerty came to me about 4 years into my tenure with that company and said, "Hey, I'm hearing about this Net Promoter Score. I think our customers love us. Can you check it out?" And, here we are. That sort of launched CX at Hagerty. But I do feel like I was meant to do this. I've always been fascinated by human behavior and people. I'm the girl in school that talked too much, right? But from a place of curiosity, right? And it just fascinates me. And I love the people I work with. I love the work I do. And I just don't think there's ever an end to understanding why humans do what they do. In fact, I saw a new job description the other day that I thought was fabulous. Behavioral change marketing manager.
Ooh.
How about that?
Yeah.
Behavioral change marketing manager.
Yeah. Right? We're trying to influence people to do things differently in some cases, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I have to go look that up and why, what is your thoughts around that? But love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, as we mentioned, Nancy, the title of today's program, whether our personal life or work life, it should always be about the people, which absolutely thrills Michael and I. And so, Michael, take over and we can jump into, because this one quote I had to put, because Nancy sent this one to us, Michael, and it got me going. And I know it's going to get you thinking. Michael hadn't even seen it until just right before the show. This quote that says, well, that's just one piece of the elephant. And then
there's a story there. There's a story there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I do think the business world is starting to wake up, and HR departments are starting to wake up to the whole person, right? But fill us in there. Where did this come from?
Well, I'm not allowed to call this person out.
Absolutely. But hello, wherever you are.
Yeah, I hope they're listening. But we did, as Shawn and I met at the CX forums, and my topic at the CX forum in Chicago was about the shift companies are making to product management. Mm-hmm. And while there are a lot of benefits to product management, right? It's these, and just for a quick, what's product management? But it's these smaller teams that are actually responsible for strategy, design, marketing, fulfillment, right? The whole kit and caboodle. But they're typically at a company around one product, right? And that can be either, an element of your journey, right? Like they might be responsible for the quote product, right? Or an actual product. And it was popularized in Silicon Valley. There's a lot of books out right now, and it's kind of the latest way we get work done at companies. And again, lots of benefits to it. Faster to market, right? I like that it puts the teams, like developers and designers, a lot closer to the customer. So lots of benefits, but in my experience, it can create silos. Especially if you have businesses that serve customers in more than one way, right? So one product is there's a team really focused on that and their own objectives, and then another product, a team focused on that and their own objectives, but there's one customer in the middle of that. And so it's shifted our role at my company in CX in terms of CX really needs to take the role of that end-to-end experience, right? And that big picture, and really try and bridge those product silos. But I was complaining to a colleague one day about, some of the silos that are created. And she's like, yeah, that's just one piece of the elephant. And I was like, that is such a great quote. So that came from me, leaning on someone and whining a bit.
Yeah.
Well, right, Michael, like she talked about two big things there that are important to us. So, which is breaking down silos. And I love that you gave your definition of product management, right? Because I do think it's another one of those words that we don't even know. It's defined so differently in every other company.
Yeah.
even the way you just defined it would not have been how I defined product management.
Okay.
Right?
How would you define it, Shawn?
What you actually defined is what we did at Disney, right? Like we were all part of this, and the guest was in the middle, right? So I just looked at it, and that's why we call it the experience ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
Like you have all the right people. I think, and I love the shift of thinking, but I think for me, a product manager is someone who's just managing the product. They're not even part of, like they manage it at the end after it's been deployed and done.
Right. They're responsible to sell it and distribute it. And
yeah, all the pre-stuff they've not been a part of. But I love that philosophy. Michael, what do you think about the whole thing with product management? Like,
yeah. Like where do we start, right? I think that is my kind of high level question is we all want the same thing. We're all talking in the same direction, but back to that change management piece, right? We've got this behemoth, we got these issues. Where is the starting place? Like what's the first thing to do to start shifting in a way that makes sense for that organization, right? And how do you move away from management altogether and into something that's more forward thinking, more proactive? You know, instead of just spending all of our energy reacting to silos, what are we doing to prevent them from starting to begin with?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you mentioned that. You are starting to see sort of a movement at companies. Another new job description is like, vice president or chief journey management officer, right? And so you are starting to see companies, and there's some good trainings out there about how you do journey management, but also still get really great things done, right? Because journey management, right? We do journey mapping and it takes forever, right? And then you're like, oh, well, we need to fix this. But what you're talking about is forward thinking and innovating, right? So there's some really good resources out there right now for kind of shifting to a journey mindset. And you're starting to see this expertise creep up, I think, in careers as well.
And I have seen those job descriptions, and we have always struggled at Mophie, and we actually make a joke about it, right, Michael? Like all these consulting groups, they put on their very front page, we do journey mapping. We do journey mapping. Well, yes, we at Mophie, we do journey mapping. We can do that for organizations, but that's just a piece of the system,
right?
Part of the elephant.
Right. Like, it goes back to that's just one piece of the elephant, right? Yeah. Like that may be the body, but what about the legs and the trunk and all the other things that need to be done? My concern is that we are getting so focused on that journey management that we are actually losing touch with the people. And you actually gave me another quote that I absolutely love this author. People are the point. People are always the point. Marcus Buckingham, right? And so talking about this shift in the industry, those new job descriptions, how do we make customer lives better? And most importantly, and I think all three of us agree on this, and I know the 20-something people that are listening will probably all agree on this. How do we make employees bigger and better to make those customer lives better? Yeah.
Well, so Marcus Buckingham, I'm just going to fully admit this, I have a huge crush on him. He's a fabulous thought leader in, employee engagement. And he has a new book out called Love and Work. And a member of my team, had read about the book and got us engaged in the book really early on. And we had the opportunity as a team to do his leadership workshop on Love and Work. And I think this is really relevant to your question, Shawn, although it's a little bit around Dick's barn. But he talks about the need for companies to leverage the uniqueness of individuals, right? Like, so think about schools and companies, right? We're all measured the same way. We're all trained the same way, right? We want people to repeat processes. But his point is that you need to leverage the uniqueness of individuals to meet your company goals. And that this is about like combining your loves as an employee to contribute to the company, right? So the more you're working in the things that you love, the better off the company is at the end of the day. Now, we can't do what we love all day long, right? I think he gives a stat that it's like the sweet spot is like if 20% of the time you're doing the things you love, right, is very high employee engagement. And he also says, one of my other favorite quotes, which made me think of you, Shawn, and your talk in Chicago, is that great careers are scavenger hunts, not ladder climbs, right? So you find you love this and you do a little bit of this, and then you find that you love that and you do a little more of that. And eventually you have this great career of your loves. And so I think giving people the freedom to do what they love and be unique, we develop better solutions in a company. And, you know, we are more human that way, right? We're all more comfortable when we're ourselves. So I think it kind of starts with employees, you know, doing what they love and then getting to contribute that to the client experience.
There's a lot there.
It's a long answer, Nancy.
Well, no, because and Michael and I are always typically the yin and yang and this type of stuff, and that's what I love about our relationship and working together. Because I would say absolutely, yes, get people doing more of what they love. And then Michael would say,
I mean, that's great in theory, but you got to run a business. So, you know, at what point do you have to draw a line and say, you know, you guys, you're going to have to do some stuff you don't love, and you're going to have a growth mindset, and you're going to have to try different things, and you're going to have to keep a standard because our brand is on the line. You know, whatever company it is, you know, there's got to be something that says this is where it is. So, it's easier said than done, right? I mean, and there are companies that are doing it successfully. So it is possible.
And it is, you know, he does make a big point. It's love and work, right? It's not just like you bake pies, but you work for a company, right, that makes shoes, right? You can't bake pies all day for work, right? But I really do think there's something there. And my team, we've been doing some of the practices and discovered some things that, like, you know, that there's somebody on my team that was actually really more interested in coding than we had any idea, right? And we were able to leverage that interest and that love to do some really cool things on the team. So it is theoretical, right? And sometimes, I love that saying, sometimes you have to disagree and commit, right? Like sometimes we need our teams to I don't agree with that, but I'm going to get on board, right? For the
or you can go make magic somewhere else, right? And there's a way to do that isn't super scary and rude and harmful to their future, right?
And I love that you actually said this, both of you, because we have Gabby, who's listening in, said, love plus work was great for me to explore early on in my career. I definitely find that I do my best work and I am doing something that I love, finding the red threads. And so I appreciate that. And Michael and I have come to that agreement. Yeah. But listen, there are days that I have to do stuff at work that I don't love to do, that Michael doesn't love to do. But if we can have a balance of, hey, I love doing this, or this is what I need to feel that, I think that's where leaders are missing out.
Well, and back to taking care of the whole person, right?
Right.
The HR departments that are willing to talk about spirituality and Enneagram, that they understand. And it's not just work-life balance, which I think is a farce. And it's not just, throwing carrots to your staff so that they want to keep working, right? It's not about setting up the cafeteria where you get free food. It's about listening to the whole human and then solving for it, right?
Yeah.
We're listening to you. You say you need this. If we could do this, let's try it out. See if that helps us accomplish our mission better, which is different than saying get our work done, right? Does it help us accomplish our mission if we frame this up this way? If we go to a hybrid work environment, does it help us get our mission accomplished? If we go to at home deployed model, does that help us get our mission accomplished? What is that we can make happen?
Yeah, and it is funny you said listen, right? And people always say, oh, how do we do human-centered design and how do we, right? I mean, to me, it's always about listening, right? And really having that curiosity to understand what's behind this. An interesting stat that just came out from, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the resource. Oh, Call Miner. So they just did they did a big research on consumer behaviors and, how many people are shifting to digital channels and that whole thing. 59% of consumers still prefer a phone call when they have a real problem to solve. And, so many companies, mine included, right? We've been digital transformation. Well, what does that mean, right? Because digital transformation for digital transformation's sake isn't really solving the problems, right, that customers have. And so it's interesting to think of some of those, like, how do you keep the human perspective in there? And it's really about listening and curiosity, right?
Well, and yeah, and obviously, Nancy, we at Mophie, we love human-centered design. We're all about it. We talk to them. You go to our website and we say we're maverick-minded and human-obsessed. And that's who we are, and that's what we believe in. I find that statistic not surprising, right? Because my healthcare journey right now and going through colon cancer, I don't want to talk to an IVR or a chatbot when I have a question.
Right.
Right? Now, there are times and circumstances, like I'll get a text. If you can keep this appointment, send us a Y. If not, an N, or if you need to reschedule, an R, which I found was really helpful. I have to have a CAT scan done, and I hit R. Well, I thought it would actually trigger a phone call, but it actually, within like 30 seconds, I had 4 new times and dates sent to me in a text. That was perfect for that, right?
Yeah,
I don't need to be on the phone.
right.
So it's also finding out in the journey process when that human wants to be heard and listened to and when that omni-channel work. And I think that's where that digital transformation piece you're talking about really has to stop and take a look right now. Is where does human interaction need to happen and when can, a chat bot or some type of IVR handle this, right?
Right.
And I think that's where I see the industry struggling. I don't know about you, but I think that's where I see the industry struggling.
Yeah, it's funny. You had, as we were preparing for this call, you said, think about trends for 2022. And I had said to Michael before, it's probably not trends I'll talk about, but those challenges, right? And I think leveraging the power of technology and staying human is the biggest challenge. I mean, I just read an article this morning about, AI, right? So they're starting to use AI in copywriting. Right? Well, like, really? Like, my husband's in marketing and copywriting. I'm thinking, can AI really like write compelling prose? There's AI art now, right? Like you can use AR to create art. and so it's exciting, but it's also it's scary. And I think like leveraging it in the right way for humans and ethical things is going to be a real challenge for CX. I mean, the other thing, and then I'll get off my soapbox about AI. But a lot of we all agree in the industry, right? Surveying, like it may always be a component of what we do, but moving farther away from understanding customers without surveys is good for the industry, good for the consumer, right? But there's a lot of companies are using AI, right? Like to understand sentiment and that sort of thing. But it's still like it's I don't know that I trust it all the time. Like there's still problems with the algorithms, and so it's going to be interesting to see if we can really harness its power for good.
Well, Michael, just have to go back. Why do you think he knew I was going here? Why do you think about using AI for copywriting, Michael?
I mean, there's a part of me that says there's so much poor writing out in the world. I would welcome it.
Might improve it. Oh, that's sad.
And Nancy, you probably don't know this, but Michael does copywriting. He and his wife both copywriters. Like they have done that as a career. So that's why when you said that, I was like, I would love to know what
I did not know that.
But maybe
I would hope that that having that there would be a way to reinvent writing and not lose the art form to AI and computers. But there's just so much poor writing out in the world. It makes me sad all the time.
Maybe it's using AI for people like me, Michael, who run it through that for the first pass, and then I hand it over to you, and you don't have to do near as much work.
Or if you use it to learn, people who use a grammar program on their email, they learn how to write better. Great. Spell check can help you, right?
Yeah. Michael doesn't let me send much out, Nancy. It has to be. That's not my strength.
When you talked about being human-centered design, you guys are also really good marketers, right? And it's that's another challenge I think facing the CX industry is we have got to get like brand, marketing, and CX aligned, right?
Yep.
So what we're promising to do as a brand, and then how we tell that story, and then what we do. And so many, I just had an experience last week with one of my favorite retailers. In fact, my outfit today is from this brand, so I won't call them out, but they're marketing now that they have exchanges, right? Because we're all getting like return fatigue, right? I gotta, buy 2 sizes, or buy a size, return it for the other size, charge my card again, right? And so they have this new exchange program, Easy Exchanges. And I was so excited. I was like, great, I always have exchanges there. And so I called the Easy Exchange number. Well, it's not an exchange, and it wasn't easy. Like, first of all, it took me longer on the phone than it would have online. And they're basically doing a return and a purchase, just like you do online. Like, and so, that may not be, that's like a marketing problem, right? Like, don't say you have easy exchanges when you don't.
Right. And
I love that. Like, I love that analogy. And I love that because and I'm on a soapbox, Nancy, to say, like, I wish we'd quit calling it CX, right? Like, this is the experience system or ecosystem, as we call it, right? And you've heard me preach and you heard me talk about, shifting from experience management to experience as a strategy. That's a perfect example. Brand, marketing, and CX. That if their strategies aren't aligned because they're in a silo, and it's not about the people, it's about getting that thing done, right? And so I love that. And Nancy, we could keep talking forever.
But we can't.
You are passionate about this, and I love that. And I love that you are willing to read and learn and go, hey, we need to shift. And I just wish more people in the industry would take that approach. So kudos to you for that. If you will hang out for just a little bit, Nancy, Michael and I are going to close up. with the show, and then we'll come back and say bye to you.
Great.
So awesome. All right, Michael, enjoy the mountains this weekend.
I will. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful there, and I will enjoy cheering for football. And then we'll be back here live on the 14th, as I mentioned, with our friend Randy. So Randy will be here with us, and we'll talk about empathy is the key towards communication, which just we were talking about. So it's a hot topic right now, and I love talking about it. So have a great weekend. Stay safe, sir, and we will talk later.
All right. See you.